Thank you, everyone, for coming this afternoon. On a beautiful Vermont day, we're so glad that, despite the fact that it required a little bit of rain and bluster yesterday, that humidity is blown out, and just a perfect day to get together and celebrate work that's being done by all levels of government together to serve the community, protect the environment, and provide opportunities for redevelopment, revitalization, economic growth here in Brattleboro and actually throughout the state of Vermont. Our partners from the state of Vermont are going to speak first about the initiatives that they're involved with, and then we're going to also hear from EPA about some significant grants that they're making. We here in Brattleboro are fortunate to have the opportunity to work in partnership both with the state agencies and with the EPA quite extensively, and we're receiving one of the grants today, so we're very grateful for that. But I want to express particularly our appreciation for the work that's being done, both in the overarching work of state government and the EPA's work throughout New England, but not just that's in partnership with us. It's particularly helpful when we can work together, gain from the expertise and the initiatives that the agencies are pursuing, not just here in Brattleboro, but elsewhere. But we know that they're there, and we find that the communication, the relationships that we build, and the work that we do together through these grants creates opportunities for us to lean on each other at other times as well. We know who each other is. We know what we're working towards in terms of benefits to this community, in our case, and the broader area, and we're able to work together in a variety of ways outside just the scope of these particular grants. But today we're here to celebrate the distribution of funds and the particular initiatives that are going to be made possible by those grant programs. And to begin that, I'd like to introduce Trey Martin and Kiersten Bourgeois from the state of Vermont. Trey is from the Agency for Natural Resources, and Kiersten from Commerce and Community Development. And it's all yours.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thanks. Officially, I said it on the way up here, but thanks very much to Peter and to the town of Brattleboro for hosting us today. It's really it's a great honor, and it's very exciting to be here today to talk about redevelopment and revitalization of our downtowns. This is such a feel-good conversation that, as we were driving down here with Chuck Schwer, who's the director of our waste management program, Kiersten and I, we just kept smiling, because this is truly about removing barriers, about creating partnerships, and about moving projects forward. So we're gonna talk about a couple of different things today. First, Kiersten and I are going to tell you about 3 new BERA projects in Vermont, and then you're going to hear from Administrator Spalding from EPA Region 1, who's going to announce the new Brownfield grants that are going to a number of communities around Vermont. So, but to get started and talk a little bit about BERA, which is another state acronym. It's the Brownfield Economic Revitalization Alliance, and it's a joint effort that my agency, Agency of Natural Resources, Agency of Commerce and Community Development, and the Vermont Agency of Transportation work on together with municipalities and regional planners, regional development corporations, the EPA, and other federal organizations to make sure that we are able to bring critical redevelopment projects to fruition. The goal of the project is it's about those partnerships. It's about increasing communication, coordination, and problem solving among all the parties that are necessary to bring major projects to completion. You all, I know you love your downtown, and you're right to be proud of downtown Brattleboro. It is truly the heart of a great community, and yet it's hard to create that heart. There are a lot of those barriers. There's a lot of challenges to redeveloping downtowns, and you've worked really hard here to bring smart growth to this community. You see it in this Depot Street project that where we're standing right now has been the site of redevelopment. You've seen it at the New England Youth Theater, which I think the administrator was taking a tour of earlier, or the art space at 118 Elliott Street. Those are great examples of the kind of infill redevelopment that we're trying to foment at the state level. There are a lot of reasons why we want this. We want economic vitality, we want sense of community, we want reduced greenhouse gas emissions from people living where they work and shop. We want to make sure that we're investing in our downtowns and that it's a statewide priority. And there are a lot of pressures. It's not just the pressure of where's the parking going to go or the cost of infrastructure. There are the pressures of redeveloping these complex sites. When there's a history of industrial use, you end up with a set of contaminants or metals in the ground that really impact human health. They can impact the natural environment, and they make it hard to even insure a project. So they act as barriers. And without programs like BERA, those projects just don't go forward in a jurisdiction like Vermont. So that's why we're so excited about it. Like I said, it's one of those feel-good public programs that you don't have to scratch the surface very far to know that this is tremendous for Vermont. It allows us, the way I like to think about, the justification for doing the work I do is that we want to protect the environment, not just for the environment itself, although that's critical, but we also want to protect human health, and we want to protect our economy. Brownfield redevelopment hits the sweet spot where all of those things come together. So what we have then is better communication between state, local, and regional officials. We select sites to receive priority funding, coordinated and timely permitting in order to get these projects completed. And then we end up with spaces like downtown Brattleboro or downtown Montpelier, downtown Burlington, places where we can really feel good about both the present and the future of our communities. So one of the 3 sites, as I said, not just the sort of the feel-good overview, but I did want to talk about the 3 new BERA projects we're launching, and I'm going to let Kiersten Bourgeois tell you about 2 of the others. But the first one I would tell you about is up in Springfield. And I guess I need to start by acknowledging the great work of some of our partners. Here today is Bob Flynn from the Springfield Redevelopment Corporation, and he's worked really hard to bring this project forward. Tom Kennedy's not here today, but I'm sure Peter Gregory will tell him for me that we're really proud of what the Regional Planning Commission has done as part of this. And so what we're talking about is the Jones and Lamson facility up in Springfield, which is a former tool manufacturing facility. It was closed in 1986. It was vacant. It's been vacant since then. It's been unheated since then, and it's become a terrible blight and an eyesore. But in addition to the deterioration of the building, it's also a site that's heavily contaminated with PCBs, with asbestos, with chlorinated solvents, and with the off product of manufactured gas, or what we call manufactured gas waste. Some pretty nasty stuff that's in the ground there. And so bringing BERA focus to this project and able to move past all of those issues. It's not only going to make the site look good again, but like I said, it's going to restore it so that people can work there and we can restore it to an effective use and make sure that people are safe. And then it's good for all of the critters and the fish and the macroinvertebrates and the birds and everybody else that's affected by what flows off of those kinds of sites. So congratulations to Springfield. Congratulations to Bob and Tom for their hard work, and all of the others who've worked hard to get us to that point. And now let me turn the mic over to Kiersten.
Thanks, Trey. Thanks for having us in Brattleboro today. I'm here to talk a little bit about 2 projects that we have selected for BERA, but also want to just talk a little bit from our economic development perspective. This team approach has been a great way to bring stakeholders together, and as I was telling my colleagues on the way down here, we want to move at the speed of business, not at the speed of bureaucracy. And we think that this initiative can really help. You like that? We think this initiative can really facilitate that. So the 2 projects I'm going to talk about today, the first is a redevelopment project in Richmond, Vermont, which is in Chittenden County at the former creamery site. And this site consists of an about 5.5 acre parcel located near the Richmond town center. The site houses 3 buildings, and one of the buildings, none of the buildings are structurally sound, and issues related to asbestos may be worsened if the building collapses. Environmental contaminant issues at the site consist of lead paint, asbestos, PAHs, and metals. And we have a developer in hand for this project, Peak Properties out of Waterbury. The redevelopment plan includes a senior center, office space, bank, pharmacy, gym, public parking, and potentially a railroad stop facility. So this is a very ambitious project that we are delighted to be a part of. And the second project is located right here in Windham County. And that one has really been spearheaded by Dutch Walsh of the town of Rockingham. And this project is located at 21 Island Street in Bellows Falls. It's owned by BFADC, the Bellows Falls Area Development Corporation, and the current plan for the site
is to demolish the current structure and create a new state-of-the-art commercial industrial building in an area where there is a high demand for this type of space. We looked at both of these projects very favorably, and we're delighted to have them both as part of our program. Thank you.
Thank you, Kiersten, and thank you, Trey. Before introducing Secretary Spalding, I'd like to just acknowledge that here in Brattleboro, our efforts, and thank you, Trey, for recognizing them. There's been a lot of activity over a lot of years that has gone on, leading to this day where we create yet new opportunities to clean up sites and redevelop in important areas of town. But that work that's gone on, the accomplishments that have laid the groundwork for what we're pursuing with today's programs has been led by our planning director, Rod Francis, and our town planner, Sue Fillion. So I just want to acknowledge my teammates with gratitude. And also, none of what we're doing here today could be possible without the substantial funds that flow from Washington to Montpelier, through Boston, into communities like ours throughout Vermont and New England to make these important projects happen. And we have representatives today from Senator Sanders' office and also from Congressman Welch's office with us. I'm grateful that you've been able to join us today for this. Thank you. So without further ado, now it's my pleasure to introduce Curt Spalding, who is EPA Administrator for Region 1 and leads these kinds of efforts all throughout New England. And we're very grateful that you've come to Brattleboro today.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you very much. Yeah, we like these kinds of visits where we're giving away money. It's a lot more fun than some of the other work we have to do, but I first want to congratulate the State of Vermont on the BERA initiative. It is the fact that as we move forward, our government has to work smarter and better every day, every month, every year, and this is a great example of how Vermont's gone forward. I also want to thank Vermont for its vigorous support of the Clean Power Plan that was just announced this weekend by the President, or this week by the President. Vermont stood very tall on the area of greenhouse gas emission reduction, and as the member of the Regional Greenhouse Gas Initiative, Vermont and their leadership is very much appreciated. Not so much by me, because I'm in New England where we all share that commitment to reducing greenhouse gas emissions, but by the Administrator of EPA, Gina McCarthy, who is a New Englander and who's working so hard to advance the greenhouse gas reduction goals we all know we depend on for the kind of life we want our states and country to be going forward. So EPA's Brownfields program, if you haven't heard of it, it's one of our signature programs that focuses on cleaning up contaminated sites that have a past legacy of pollution. What we try to do is advance the reuse and redevelopment of these sites with dollars that I always like to say are the first dollars. The dollars nobody else is willing to spend sometimes. The developer won't spend the money, our federal partners won't spend the money because the risks around the site are unknown. Now these dollars have done great things in New England. We've created jobs. It's an investment in our environment, our economy. I dare say communities like Brattleboro, all of New England have benefited from our Brownfields efforts. So it's a great pleasure to be here in Brattleboro because Brattleboro's even more special than all the communities in New England. They're all special to me, but this one's even more special. And let me tell you why. The administrator of EPA some months ago said to all the regional administrators like me, hey, I think people need to know just how much EPA is helping communities around America. And that message, unfortunately, has been kind of lost in Washington. The conversation about EPA in Washington, as you may know, is not entirely positive. We fight, we're fighting always to really stand up and tell people what we do. And one thing we do is make a visible difference in communities, and that became a slogan for an effort the administrators put forth, where we're doing visible difference in community work in select communities around the country. And I want to recognize my team, as long as I can pull the names out, but I know them all here, but I don't want to miss any. Our MVD team is the Brownfields team, as you know them, and I know Joe's here, and who else, if I can read the smaller print. We've got Jerry Weiss, Jane Downing, Rosemary Monahan, and the Brownfields team, obviously Joe Ferrari and Frank Gardner, and other people. There's lots behind them. This group of people is working to make a visible difference here in Brattleboro and Hinsdale across the bridge. We are so committed to actually doing work in a holistic way, just as was described by our friends in Vermont. What we're trying to do is connect and connect and connect and connect until we can't connect anymore to every asset, every partnership, everybody who wants to make a difference in these communities. It's a holistic and concentrated approach. We're not talking about just sites. We're talking about what serves those sites. Clean water, clean drinking water, all the assets that make a community healthy. So today, all of this is good talk, but I know communities like something that's really tangible. And what's really tangible from the federal government is sometimes money. And so today, we're here in Brattleboro to talk about money. And I'm pleased to say there's a lot of money coming into this region, this northern New England region, here in Vermont especially. Why is that? Well, that's because of the talent right over here who actually champions these kinds of grants. The people who write the grants, think about them, talk about the partnerships. I always want to acknowledge the local leadership that actually puts it together to get a grant like this. They are hard to get. I just spent time with Joe and Frank over lunch talking about why it is so hard right now, and monies are tight in Washington. So I'm going to start out with our host here. Do we have the right check? Now, we always pass out what we call these big checks, but I also want the two congressional representatives to come forward. Speaking to what Peter said, this money doesn't come from EPA Region 1, nor does it come from the President of the United States. It comes from appropriators. And appropriators happen to be members of Congress. So I always like to have you guys in the picture, and I'd like the Brattleboro team to come forward so we can take a picture around this $400,000 big check. It's the first Brownfields grant for Brattleboro. It will perform site assessments in the area I just walked, and it's important to note that the town of Brattleboro has been selected also to be a smart growth implementation assistance grant. So as I walk today, we're planning a technical assistance is being given to Brattleboro to work that out. So let's do our first picture with the Brattleboro team.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right,
Thanks so
a
much.
lot to do here.
Do you want to hold it? Or you just cash it?
Now, there's a lot more money coming than Brattleboro's money. We have $2 million to give here. So let me start out with our next grantee. That would be the Central Vermont Regional Planning Commission. This is, again, a $400,000 assessment grant. It's our pleasure to award to Central Vermont Regional Planning Commission $400,000, as I said. This commission serves rural populations of nearly 65,000 people in towns surrounding Montpelier and BERA. The commission typically fills this role, fills the role of being the planners for these small towns. So this money, I know, will be very important. With this award, they will be up to $1 million in total Brownfields money. So congratulations. Got to do the handshake.
Yes, thank you. I know where to look.
Very good.
Thank
Excellent.
you very much.
Whoops. Now, I know the next grantee is not, grant receiver is not here, I don't think, and that would be Lamoille, but it's not Lamoille. Lamoille County Planning Commission, and just for the record, they received a $400,000 assessment grant. Lamoille Planning Commission is based in Morrisville, Vermont, and it's for assessment work. Next, I think the next one aren't here either. The next folks aren't here. The Northwest Planning Regional Commission, they got a $200,000 assessment grant. The Northwest Brownfields program is a key component of smart growth and sustainable community economic development in that region, and helps attain the vision for Franklin, Grand Isle communities as articulated in the regional plan. And I've been to that area. It's absolutely gorgeous. I'm very pleased that they've received that. So now, I'd like to ask the people from the Springfield Regional Development Corporation to come forward. Now, this is the money everybody really likes, because I think this is a cleanup grant. Have I got that right?
Yes.
Cleanup grants are money that actually cleans the stuff up. And it's really exciting that this grant for $200,000 is being awarded for the former Bryant Grinder site. You're Bob, I presume, Executive Director. Congratulations.
Thank you.
SRDC has been tackling the significant environmental challenges left from the decline of the machine tool industry in the town of Springfield. The $200,000 grant will help move the cleanup of the Bryant Grinder site, obviously. The cleanup and redevelopment of this site is all about bringing new jobs and opportunities back to this community. With this award, Springfield RDC will have received $400,000 in total Brownfields grants. Not a small amount of money. Congratulations, Bob. All right. Oh, I don't know how to say Two Rivers. Otaquiche? Otaquiche? Otaquiche. Very good. I try. This is a $400,000 assessment grant to Peter Gregory and Kevin Geiger, senior planner, serving 30 municipalities across eastern central Vermont. Two Rivers will be focusing on funding on Brownfields redevelopment opportunities in several downtown centers of rural communities they support. And they've been working with the Brownfields program for over 15 years. With this award, oh my gosh, up to $1.6 million in total Brownfields grants. What a group. You guys have done great.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, that completes the Santa Claus act of the day here. I very much appreciate, and I want to say this not just for myself, but for Frank and Joe and all the team, Jerry and Rosemary and all involved, Jane, that we so appreciate the hard work of all you do at this local level of regional planning and local planning and community development. It is, in our minds, the well-being of our cities and our communities in New England is what makes our work special. We value very much the permits we put out and the TMDLs, which gets a little news in Vermont, the total mass daily loading analysis, all that hard technical work. But this kind of work is what really touches the people of the communities they're in. So I'm very pleased to have done this today and really congratulate Vermont for such a terrific haul of money you brought back to your communities. Good job.
Thank you very much. Thank you to our partners, the federal government, the state government, to all of you who have come today, and thank you to our colleagues across the state who are doing the same kind of work to revitalize their communities that we're proud to do here in Brattleboro. Hope everyone has a great afternoon.